Marcus Chen was running late again. He rushed through the massive corridors of the Galactic Council space station, his shoes squeaking against the polished floor. Papers threatened to spill from his arms as he rounded another corner. Being a junior human diplomat meant doing all the boring work. Nobody else wanted to do. The station was beautiful, but confusing. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Coalition for 15 years, and they still got the worst assignments. Marcus was supposed to attend a meeting about trade routes for mineral shipments. It was as exciting as it sounded, which meant not exciting at all. He checked his watch. 5 minutes late. His boss would be angry. Marcus pushed through a doorway, trying to straighten his tie while balancing his papers. Then everything went wrong. The room he entered was not the trade meeting. It was filled with tall, elegant aliens dressed in silver robes. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer in the light. They stood in perfect rows, completely silent. At the center of the room, a female alien stood on a raised platform. She wore a crown made of crystal that caught the light like frozen starlight. Marcus froze. He had stumbled into a Xanthari ceremony. The Xanthari were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. You did not interrupt their ceremonies. You especially did not interrupt when royalty was present. "Oh no," Marcus whispered. Every Xanthari head turned toward him. Their eyes were large and silver, showing no emotion. He started to back away slowly, but the female on the platform moved. She descended the steps with grace, her long robes flowing behind her. The crystal pieces in her crown made soft chiming sounds. She was speaking in the Xanthari language, words that sounded like wind through ice caves. Then she stumbled. Marcus did not think. He moved on instinct. His training as a combat medic kicked in before his brain could stop him. He dropped his papers and lunged forward, catching the Xanthari princess before she fell. The room exploded in gasps and shocked sounds. Marcus held the princess in his arms for just 2 seconds before he realized what he had done. He had touched Xanthari royalty. Physical contact was forbidden in their culture, except between family members. He had just committed a terrible insult. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," Marcus said quickly, setting her back on her feet. He stepped away, hands up. "I didn't mean to," but the princess was not looking angry. She was staring at him with an expression he could not read. Her silver eyes were wide, focused entirely on his face. She reached up and touched her own arm where his hands had been. "You are warm," she said in perfect English. Her voice was soft but carried through the silent room. "Your skin is warm." Yes, Marcus was confused. "Humans are warm-blooded. I'm sorry for touching you, Your Highness. It was an accident." The princess took a step closer to him. Marcus wanted to back away, but his feet would not move. She was tall, taller than him by several inches. Her face was beautiful in an alien way, with high cheekbones and that shimmering blue skin. But her eyes held something he had not expected. Curiosity. Intense, burning curiosity. "What is your name, human?" she asked. "Marcus. Marcus Chun. I'm a junior diplomat. I got lost in Marcus Chun." She repeated his name like she was tasting it. Then she turned to address the room in the Xanthari language. The other aliens began speaking at once, their voices rising in what sounded like protest. An older Xanthari male rushed forward. He wore robes even more elaborate than the others. "Princess Salvara, this is highly irregular. The humans should be removed and no." The princess raised one hand and every Xanthari fell silent. When she spoke again, it was in English, and her words were clear and firm. "This human will be my personal attach. I claim him as part of my household staff. It is my right as crown princess." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Wait, what?" The old Xanthari male looked like he might faint. "Your Highness, You cannot be serious. A human? A primitive species? In your personal service? I am completely serious, Ambassador Torith. The princess never took her eyes off Marcus. He will report to my quarters tomorrow morning. Prepare the proper documentation. But, Princess, that is an order, Ambassador. The older alien bowed stiffly and retreated. The other Zentari were whispering now, scandalized looks on their faces. Marcus stood frozen, trying to understand what had just happened. Had he just been claimed? Like property? Excuse me, Your Highness, Marcus said carefully. I have a job already. I'm a human diplomat. I can't just... Your government will cooperate. The princess moved even closer. She was studying him like he was a fascinating puzzle. Your superiors will not refuse a request from the Zentari Empire. You will be reassigned to my service. She was right. Marcus knew she was right. The humans were still newcomers to the galactic community. They would not risk offending the Zentari over one junior diplomat. His boss would probably be happy to get rid of him. Why? Marcus asked. Why me? The princess tilted her head. You touched me. That was an accident. But you did it anyway. She reached out slowly, and Marcus held his breath. Her finger touched his hand, barely a brush of contact. You felt warm. You moved without thinking. You showed concern for a stranger. She pulled her hand back and looked at her finger like it held secrets. My people do not do these things anymore. I want to understand why yours does. Before Marcus could respond, the princess turned and walked away. Her robes swept the floor behind her. Tomorrow morning, Marcus Chen. Do not be late. Then she was gone, and Marcus was left standing in a room full of disapproving aliens, surrounded by his scattered papers, wondering what he had just gotten himself into. That evening, Marcus sat in the small apartment provided for human diplomats. His friend Kenji, another junior diplomat, paced back and forth. A Zentari princess claimed you? Marcus, do you understand what this means? That I'm in trouble? That you're in danger? Kenji stopped pacing. The Zentari don't break protocol, ever. They're famous for it. If their princess is acting this strange, something is very wrong. Marcus rubbed his face. She just wants to understand humans. That's all? That's all? Kenji laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Man, the Zentari study species for decades before they even speak to them. They don't just grab random humans because they're curious. There's something else going on. Marcus knew his friend was probably right. But what could he do? He was just a low-level diplomat who had made a mistake. Tomorrow morning, he would report to the princess and try not to cause an international incident. He looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. Somewhere out there was Earth, home. It felt very far away right now. Tomorrow morning, he said quietly. I'll figure it out tomorrow. But deep down, Marcus knew his life had just changed forever, and he had no idea if it was for better or worse. Marcus stood outside the princess's quarters at exactly 7 in the morning. The door was made of something that looked like frosted glass, but felt cold as ice when he touched it. He straightened his jacket and pressed the entry request button. The door opened silently. Inside, the rooms were nothing like Marcus expected. Everything was white and silver and blue. The furniture had sharp angles and looked uncomfortable. There were no decorations, no personal items, nothing that suggested anyone actually lived here. It felt like standing inside a freezer. You are punctual. The princess emerged from another room. She wore simpler clothes today, a pale blue dress that still looked formal by human standards. Her crystal crown was gone, replaced by a simple silver band in her hair. That is good. I value punctuality, Your Highness. Marcus bowed slightly, unsure of the proper protocol. You may call me Zalvara when we are alone. She studied him again with those intense silver eyes. Come, Sit. We have much to discuss. Marcus sat on the edge of a chair that was indeed as uncomfortable as it looked. Zalvara did not sit. She paced slowly, her movements precise and controlled. Do you know anything about my people, Marcus-chan? A little, Marcus admitted. The Xanthari are one of the 3 great powers in the galaxy. Your empire spans 200 star systems. Your technology is centuries ahead of Earth's. And your culture values order, protocol, and emotional control. Correct. Zalvara stopped pacing. We are cold-blooded, as you might say. Our body temperature adjusts to our environment. Physical contact with others creates what we call temperature confusion. It disrupts our natural state. Therefore, we do not touch except with family, and even then, rarely. Marcus thought about how she had reacted to his touch yesterday. But you touched my hand last night, and you didn't seem upset. Something flickered in Zalvara's eyes. Not anger, but something else. Something she was trying to hide. That is what interests me about humans. You are always warm, always moving, always feeling. Why? That's just how we are. Marcus was not sure how to explain being human to an alien. We're social creatures. We need connection with others. Need, Zalvara repeated the word. My people have forgotten what need feels like. We have mastered control so completely that we no longer feel much of anything. She moved to the window and looked out at the stars. Marcus could see her reflection in the glass, and he thought she looked sad. But that was probably his human brain seeing things that were not there. I have studied your species for 5 years, Zalvara continued. I watched your broadcasts, read your literature, listen to your music. Humans feel everything so strongly. Joy, anger, love, grief. You let these emotions drive you, yet you have not destroyed yourselves. How? Marcus stood up and walked closer. Not too close. He did not want to make her uncomfortable. We almost did destroy ourselves, twice, but we learned. We learned that feeling emotions is not the problem. It's what you do with them that matters. Zalvara turned to face him. My people believe emotions lead to chaos. 3,000 years ago, we nearly destroyed ourselves in a civil war driven by passion and rage. So we changed. We genetically modified ourselves to feel less, to control more. We thought we were saving ourselves, but Marcus could hear the unspoken word. But now we are dying. Zalvara's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Our birth rates fall every year. Our artists create nothing new. Our scientists have no passion for discovery. We exist, but we do not live. I fear that in another 1,000 years, the Xanthari will simply fade away. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold room. And you think humans can help? I think humans remember something we have forgotten. Zalvara stepped closer to Marcus. Too close for a Xanthari. I need to understand it. Before one become empress. Before I lead my people into extinction without even realizing it. She raised her hand slowly, hesitantly. Marcus understood what she was asking without words. He held out his own hand, palm up. Zalvara placed her hand on his dot. Her skin was cool and smooth, almost like touching marble. But Marcus did not pull away. He let her feel the warmth of his hand, the pulse of blood under his skin. You are always this warm? She asked. Always. It feels... She searched for words. Strange. But not unpleasant. They stood like that for a long moment. Then Zalvara pulled her hand back quickly, as if she had been burned. I have meetings today. You will accompany me. You will observe. And tonight, you will tell me what you see. The rest of the day was exhausting. Marcus followed Zalvara to 5 different meetings with various alien diplomats and trade representatives. He watched her negotiate with perfect logic and zero emotion. She never smiled. never frowned, never showed any reaction at all. But Marcus noticed small things. The way her fingers would twitch when someone said something insulting. The way she held her breath when a decision was difficult. The emotions were there, buried deep, fighting to get out. That evening, they returned to her quarters. Zalvara dismissed her other attendants and looked at Marcus expectantly. "What did you observe?" "You're not as controlled as you think," Marcus said honestly. "I saw you react to things. Small things, but they were there. Impossible. I am perfectly disciplined." "Your Highness Zalvara, you gripped the edge of the table when Ambassador Krell insulted your father's policies. Your breathing changed when you had to choose between two bad options. You looked away when they showed the population decline numbers." Zalvara was silent for a long time. Then she walked to her window again. "When I was a child, I cried once. Just once. My mother found me and was horrified. She had me punished and sent for additional emotional control training. I never cried again." "That's terrible," Marcus said softly. "That is how we survive." But Zalvara's voice cracked just slightly. "Or how we think we survive." Marcus made a decision. It might cost him his position or worse, but he could not watch this anymore. "Come with me." "What?" "Come with me. To the human quarters. Let me show you something. That would be highly inappropriate." "So was claiming a random human as your personal attach." Marcus smiled. "When has that stopped you?" Zalvara's lips twitched. Marcus was not sure, but he thought it might have been trying to become a smile. "Very well. Lead the way." They walked through the station together. Other aliens stared at them, whispered. A Zenthari princess walking casually with a human was unheard of. But Zalvara held her head high and ignored them all. Marcus led her to the human district. Immediately, everything changed. Music played from open doorways. People laughed and shouted greetings. Children ran past them, playing some kind of tag game. The walls were covered in colorful artwork and posters. Zalvara stopped walking. She stood frozen, watching everything with wide eyes. "It is so chaotic." "It's alive," Marcus corrected. "Come on." He brought her to a small restaurant run by a family from Mexico. Mrs. Garcia was cooking, and the smells of spices and fresh food filled the air. When she saw Marcus, she waved enthusiastically. "Marco! ¿Cómo estás, mío?" "Bien, Mrs. Garcia. This is Princess Zalvara. She's never tried human food." Mrs. Garcia's eyes went wide, but she recovered quickly. "Then she must try my enchiladas." "Sit, sit." They sat at a small table. Zalvara looked uncomfortable on the simple chair, but she stayed. Mrs. Garcia brought plates of food, talking the entire time in a mixture of Spanish and English. She touched Marcus's shoulder, patted Zalvara's hand, gestured wildly while she explained each dish. Zalvara stared at her hand where Mrs. Garcia had touched it. "She touched me. Without permission." "Humans touch each other a lot," Marcus explained. "It's how we show care, affection, connection." Mrs. Garcia returned with drinks and insisted Zalvara try everything. The princess picked up a fork uncertainly. She took a small bite of enchilada. Her eyes widened. "It is spicy, hot. I can feel it." "That's the chili peppers." Zalvara took another bite. Then another. She was eating faster now, experiencing something new. Around them, the restaurant was full of life. People talked and laughed. A couple argued playfully in the corner. Children begged their parents for dessert. "This is what we lost," Zalvara said quietly. "All of this." She looked at Marcus, and for the first time, he saw real emotion in her silver eyes. Not just curiosity, pain, loss, longing. "Help me," she said. Not a command this time, a request. "Please, Marcus, help me remember how to feel." The next 3 weeks changed everything. Marcus met with Zalvara every day, and slowly, carefully, he began teaching her about human emotions. But he made one thing clear from the start. "I'm not your servant," Marcus told her on the second day. "If we're doing this, we do it as equals. You don't command me. We work together." Zalvara had looked surprised, then thoughtful. "No one has spoken to me like that since I was a child. Then people aren't being honest with you." She had smiled then. Actually smiled. It was small and uncertain, like she had forgotten how, but it was real. "Very well, Marcus Chen. We are equals." They started small. Marcus taught her about human expressions and what they meant. He showed her videos of people laughing, crying, celebrating. He explained why humans hugged when they were happy or sad, why they held hands with people they loved, why they sometimes needed to yell when angry or cry when hurt. Zalvara absorbed everything like a student studying for the most important test of her life. She practiced expressions in the mirror, though they looked stiff at first. She asked hundreds of questions. Why did humans cry at sad movies? Why did they laugh at jokes that were not logical? Why did they seek physical comfort when upset? Because emotions are not logical, Marcus explained. They just are. And that's okay. But how do you control them? Zalvara asked. How do you stop them from destroying you? We don't control them. We manage them. We feel them, and then we decide what to do with those feelings. It's different. One afternoon, Marcus took her to the station's observation deck. It was a huge room with transparent walls showing the stars outside. Humans came here to relax and think. Today, someone was playing a guitar in the corner, soft music filling the space. Music, Zalvara said. My people have music, but it is mathematical. Perfect notes in perfect sequence. Human music is about feeling, Marcus said. He led her to sit on one of the benches. Listen, don't think about the notes. Just feel what it makes you feel. They sat in silence while the guitar player performed. The music was sad and beautiful, a slow melody that spoke of longing and hope. Marcus watched Zalvara's face. Her eyes closed. Her breathing slowed. Her hands, usually so still, trembled slightly. When the song ended, she opened her eyes. They were wet. I am leaking, she said, touching her face in confusion. You're crying, Marcus said gently. It's what humans do when we feel strong emotions. It feels wrong. I should stop it. You don't have to stop it. Let yourself feel it. Zalvara sat there, tears running down her blue cheeks, looking terrified and amazed at the same time. Marcus reached out slowly and took her hand. She gripped it tightly, like a person drowning who had found something to hold on to. I feel so much, she whispered. How do you live like this? Feeling everything? Because feeling everything means feeling joy too. Love, wonder. Yes, you feel pain, but you also feel happiness. And that makes it worth it. But not everyone was happy about Zalvara's transformation. Ambassador Torith watched with increasing alarm. Other Zentari diplomats began to whisper. The princess was changing, becoming less Zentari and more. Something else. One evening, Torith confronted Marcus outside Zalvara's quarters. You are corrupting her, the old alien said coldly. She was perfect before you came. Controlled. Proper. Now she smiles. She laughs. She shows weakness. Those aren't weaknesses, Marcus argued. Those are signs she's alive. Those are signs she is becoming unfit to rule. The Zentari Empire needs a strong leader, not an emotional child. Your empire needs a leader who remembers what it means to be alive, Marcus shot back. Otherwise, what's the point of ruling? You'll just preside over your own extinction. Torith's eyes went hard. You have no right to speak of things you do not understand, human. The princess will be recalled soon for her coronation ceremony, and you will not be permitted to accompany her to Zenthara Prime. Your influence ends here." The ambassador swept away, leaving Marcus with a cold feeling in his chest. He knew this was coming. Of course, Zelvara would have to return home eventually, but he had hoped for more time. That night, the station's power failed. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in red. An announcement in multiple languages explained that repairs would take several hours. Residents should remain in their current locations. Marcus was in Zalvara's quarters when it happened. She stood frozen in the sudden darkness, her silver eyes reflecting the red emergency lights. "The darkness," she whispered. "I do not like it. Are you afraid?" Marcus asked. "Zenthari do not feel fear." "Zalvara, are you afraid?" A long pause. Then, so quietly, he almost could not hear. "Yes." Marcus walked to her slowly. "It's okay to be afraid. Everyone gets scared sometimes. What do humans do when they are afraid? We find someone we trust, and we let them help us feel safe." Zalvara was shaking now, though Marcus did not think it was from cold. "I do not know how. May I show you?" She nodded. Marcus stepped forward, and slowly, giving her time to pull away, he wrapped his arms around her. Zalvara went rigid at first, every muscle tense. But Marcus just held her, steady and warm and patient. "This is an embrace," he said softly. "A hug. Humans do this to comfort each other. It feels strange. Strange bad or strange good? I do not know." But slowly, very slowly, Zalvara relaxed. Her head lowered until it rested on Marcus's shoulder. Her arms came up hesitantly, then wrapped around him. Marcus could feel her shaking. "You are so warm," she said, "like the sun on stone. And you're not as cold as you think you are." They stood like that for a long time. In the darkness, with only emergency lights and the stars beyond the windows, something broke open inside Zalvara. All the emotions she had been learning to feel, all the things she had buried for so long, came flooding out. She cried against Marcus's shoulder. Not quiet tears this time, but real sobs that shook her whole body. She cried for her people who had forgotten how to feel. She cried for herself, for the childhood where showing emotion meant punishment. She cried for the fear of becoming empress of a dying empire. Not Marcus just held her and let her cry. He did not try to stop her or tell her it would be okay. He just gave her the space to feel everything she needed to feel. When the sobs finally stopped, Zalvara pulled back slightly. Her face was wet with tears. Her silver eyes were red around the edges. She looked exhausted and alive all at once. "I am terrified," she admitted. "Terrified of becoming like my parents, cold, distant, so controlled that I forget what it means to care about anything." "Then don't become like them," Marcus said. "Choose differently. But I must return home soon, for my coronation, and they will not let you come with me." Ambassador Torith made that clear. "Then we'll figure something out. How? I am one person against an entire empire of tradition." Marcus smiled. "Maybe, but you're not just one person anymore. You have me, and I'm not going to let you face this alone." Zalvara looked at him with something in her eyes that Marcus had never seen before. Something warm and bright and a little bit frightening in its intensity. "Why do you help me?" she asked. "You gain nothing from this. Your people are not important enough to benefit from my favor." "So why?" Marcus thought about it. "Because it's the right thing to do. And because I care about you. You're my friend." Friend. Zalvara tested the word. "I have never had a friend before. Only subjects and advisors. Well, now you have one." The lights came back on suddenly, flooding the room with normal illumination. Zalvara blinked in the brightness. She pulled away from Marcus, but not quickly. Not like she was ashamed. She simply stepped back and looked at him with clear eyes. "Marcus-chan," she said formally, "I do not request your help anymore." Marcus's heart sank. Was she sending him away? But then Zalvara did something that shocked him. She took his hand, not hesitantly this time, but firmly. She looked him directly in the eyes. "I demand you stay by my side. Not as a servant, but as my equal, my friend, the one who taught me how to feel again." She squeezed his hand. "Will you help me teach my people what you have taught me?" Marcus squeezed back. "Yes, whatever it takes." Outside, neither of them knew that Ambassador Torith had been listening, and he was already making plans to ensure the human never reached Zenthara Prime. The summons came 3 days later. A Zenthari royal vessel arrived at the station, and with it, a direct order from the Emperor himself. Princess Zalvara was to return to Zenthara Prime immediately for her coronation. No delays would be permitted. Marcus found Zalvara in her quarters, staring at the holographic message from her father. The Emperor was an imposing figure, tall and regal, with skin even paler than his daughter's. His face showed no emotion as he spoke. "Your games with the primitive species are finished," the Emperor's recorded voice said. "You will return home. You will complete your coronation. You will put aside these childish notions about emotions and feelings. You are Zenthari. Act like it." The message ended. Zalvara stood motionless, but Marcus could see the slight tremor in her hands. "I have to go," she said quietly. "I know. They will not let you come with me. I know that too." Zalvara turned to face him. In the past weeks, she had learned to show emotions openly. Now her face was filled with fear and determination fighting each other. "I am not strong enough alone, Marcus. I will go home, and they will break me. They will train the emotions out of me again. Everything I have learned will be lost. Then don't go alone. I told you, they will not allow, so we don't ask permission." Marcus stepped closer. "You're going to be Empress. You have power. Use it. Against my own father. Not against. For your people. For their future." Zalvara was quiet for a long moment. Then she straightened her back and lifted her chin. Marcus saw the princess transform into the empress she would become. "You are right. I will not ask. I will demand." She called an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council. Every major species sent a representative. The meeting chamber was massive, with seats arranged in a circle around a central platform. When Zalvara entered with Marcus at her side, whispers filled the room. Ambassador Torith tried to stop them at the door. "Princess, this is madness. You cannot bring the human into this meeting." "I am Crown Princess of the Zenthari Empire," Zalvara said coldly. "I decide who accompanies me." She walked past him, and Marcus followed. They stood together on the central platform, facing hundreds of alien representatives. Marcus had never felt so small and out of place in his life. But he stood straight, trying to look more confident than he felt. Zalvara spoke, her voice carrying through the chamber. "Honored delegates, I call this meeting to address a crisis that affects not just the Zenthari Empire, but potentially all species in this coalition." She activated a holographic display. Numbers and charts appeared, showing population decline across the Zenthari worlds. Birth rates falling, cultural production decreasing, scientific advances slowing. "My people are dying," Zalvara said bluntly. "Not from war or disease, but from our own success. 3,000 years ago, we eliminated strong emotions from our culture. We believed it would save us from destroying ourselves. Instead, it is killing us slowly." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many species knew the Zenthari population was declining, but this was the first time Zenthari royalty had admitted it publicly. "I have studied the human species," Zalvara continued. "They are young, primitive by our standards. But they have something we have lost. They feel deeply, passionately. They nearly destroyed themselves, not once but twice. Yet they survived. They learned to channel their emotions into creation rather than destruction. Into art, science, compassion. She gestured to Marcus. This human taught me something in a few weeks that my people have forgotten in millennia. That emotion is not weakness. That feeling deeply does not mean losing control. That to truly live, you must be willing to truly feel. A delegate from the Korvax Union, a species known for their logic and reason, spoke up. Princess Salvara, what you suggest is dangerous. Emotions led to the Xanthari Civil War. They nearly destroyed your species. No, Zalvara said firmly. Uncontrolled emotions led to war. Emotions without wisdom. But look at humans. They feel everything we fear to feel. Yet they have built civilizations, created beauty, explored the stars. They prove that emotion and wisdom can coexist. What are you proposing? Asked another delegate. Zalvara took a breath. Marcus saw her hands shake slightly, but her voice remained steady. I propose a cultural exchange program. Humans as ambassadors to Xantara Prime. To teach my people what they have taught me. To help us remember how to feel before we lose the ability entirely. The chamber erupted in noise. Some delegates were intrigued. Others were outraged. Ambassador Tarth stood up, his face twisted in anger. This is an insult to Xanthari culture. Our princess has been corrupted by primitive influences. I call for her removal from succession. You have no authority to do that, Zalvara shot back. Only the Emperor can remove me. Then I will recommend it to him. Recommend all you want, Zalvara said. I am going home, and Marcus Chun is coming with me. Not as a servant, as an equal, as an advisor, as a friend. She turned to face the entire assembly. Humanity is young, yes. They have much to learn from us. But we have much to learn from them. They offer us something we desperately need. Hope, passion, life. I will not let my people fade into extinction because we are too proud to accept help. Marcus felt a surge of pride. This was not the same alien princess who had commanded him to her quarters weeks ago. This was a leader. A true leader, willing to fight for her people, even against her own culture. But Tarth was not finished. And if the Emperor refuses? If he forbids this human from setting foot on Xantara Prime? Zalvara met his eyes. Then I will refuse the coronation. The chamber went silent. Every alien stared at her in shock. A Xanthari royal refusing the throne was unheard of. It would be the greatest scandal in their history. You would not dare, Torith whispered. I would. I will lead my people to life, not death. If they will not accept that, they can find another empress. Before anyone could respond, a new hologram appeared. It was the Emperor, transmitting in real time. He had been watching. Everyone in the chamber bowed slightly, even Zalvara. My daughter, the Emperor said. His voice was cold as ice. You would shame your family? Your empire? I would save them, Father. Please, see what I see. Our people are dying. We need change. We need tradition. We need stability. Not the wild passions of primitive species. Marcus had stayed silent until now, but he could not anymore. He stepped forward, ignoring the gasps from the delegates. Your Majesty, Marcus said. With respect, sir, you are wrong. The Emperor's eyes fixed on him. Marcus felt like he was being examined by something vast and cold. But he did not back down. Humans almost destroyed ourselves, Marcus continued. We had 2 world wars. We built weapons that could end all life on our planet. We poisoned our air and water. We nearly lost everything. Not once, twice. Then you prove my point, the Emperor said. Emotions lead to destruction. No, sir. Emotions without wisdom lead to destruction. But we learned that anger can become justice, that fear can become courage, that love is worth more than hate. We learned to feel everything and still choose to build rather than destroy. Marcus looked around the chamber. Your Majesty, your people have achieved amazing things. Technology beyond our dreams. Peace for thousands of years. But what is the point of peace if nobody is alive enough to enjoy it? What is the point of survival if you forget what you are surviving for? Your daughter is not corrupted, Marcus said. She is brave. Brave enough to feel when her culture says she should not. Brave enough to admit weakness when her position demands strength. Brave enough to fight for a future where your people do not just survive, but live. He took a deep breath. I am just a human. Just one person from a species you consider primitive. But I know this. Your daughter is the best hope your people have. She is the leader they need. And if you turn her away, you will lose more than an heir. You will lose the future. The chamber was completely silent. The Emperor stared at Marcus for a long, terrible moment. Then he looked at his daughter. Zalvara, is this truly what you want? Yes, father, please. The Emperor's face showed nothing, but something in his eyes changed. Just slightly. Just enough. Very well, he said finally. You may bring your human, but understand this. If your cultural exchange fails, if it brings chaos to our worlds, I will end it immediately, and you will both face the consequences. Are you willing to accept that risk? Zalvara looked at Marcus. He nodded. Together, they faced the Emperor. We are, Zalvara said. The Emperor's hologram flickered. Then return home. Both of you. Let us see if humanity can truly teach the Zentari something worth learning. The transmission ended. The chamber burst into conversation, delegates arguing and debating. But Marcus only saw Zalvara. She was smiling, really smiling, and her eyes were bright. We did it, she said. We did, Marcus agreed. Now comes the hard part. Zentara Prime was beautiful in a cold, perfect way. The entire planet looked like it had been carved from crystal and ice. The cities were built with geometric precision. Everything was orderly, clean, and completely lifeless. Marcus stood at the window of the royal palace, looking down at the capital city below. Zentari citizens moved through the streets in organized patterns. No one ran. No one laughed. No one seemed to even talk to each other. It was like watching a city of ghosts. This is what I grew up in, Zalvara said, standing beside him. I did not realize how empty it was until I saw humans living. We can change this, Marcus said. But it will not be easy. He was right. The first weeks on Zentara Prime were difficult. Many Zentari were outraged by Marcus's presence. Some refused to even look at him. Others watched him like he was dangerous. Ambassador Toreth led a group of traditionalists who openly opposed any change. But Zalvara was determined. She began her reforms slowly, carefully. First, she established cultural centers where young Zentari could come to learn about emotions. Marcus taught classes, explaining human psychology and emotional intelligence. At first, only a few brave students came. But word spread. The breakthrough came when a young Zentari named Velrin attended one of Marcus's classes. She was a scientist who had lost all passion for her work. Her research was perfect, but meaningless, she explained. She did not care about it anymore. Marcus taught her about curiosity, about the joy of discovery, about letting yourself wonder and dream and imagine. He showed her videos of human scientists celebrating their discoveries, crying over failures, laughing with joy when experiments worked. 2 weeks later, Velren made a breakthrough in energy research that Zentari scientists had been stuck on for 20 years. When she announced it, she did something unprecedented. She smiled. She laughed. She hugged her research partner. The video of that moment spread across Zenthar Prime. Young Zenthari began to whisper to each other. If showing emotion led to such success, maybe it was not weakness after all. But not everyone was happy. One night, someone tried to kill Marcus. He was walking back to his quarters when 3 Zentari in dark robes attacked him. Marcus had combat medic training, which included combat itself. He fought back, using his human reflexes and adaptability against their precision strikes. He survived, but barely. Zalvara found him bleeding on the floor, and for the first time, Marcus saw her truly angry. Not controlled Zenthari disapproval. Real, burning human rage. Who did this? She demanded of the palace guards. They found out quickly. The attackers were part of Taurith's group. They confessed that they wanted to stop the corruption of Zenthari culture before it was too late. Zolvara had them arrested, and she called an emergency assembly of Zenthari nobles and leaders. Marcus stood beside her, bandaged and bruised, as she addressed the assembly. The coronation amphitheater was filled with thousands of Zenthari, all watching in silence. Some of you think I am destroying our culture, Zolvara said. Her voice carried across the massive space. Some of you think that showing emotion makes us weak. That learning from humans is beneath us. She paused, looking across the crowd. You are wrong. Murmurs spread through the assembly. No Zenthari royal had ever been so direct, so confrontational. I will show you why you are wrong, Zolvara continued. She activated a holographic display. These are our population numbers, declining for 800 years. These are our cultural production rates, declining for 600 years. These are our scientific advances, slowing for 400 years. The numbers painted a grim picture. If the trends continued, the Zenthari would be functionally extinct in 2,000 years. We are dying, Zalvara said flatly. Slowly, quietly, perfectly. We will die in perfect order, with perfect control, having felt nothing. Is that what you want? We want stability. Torith stood up, his voice sharp. We want tradition, not the chaos of primitive emotions. Chaos? Zolvara looked at Marcus. Show them. Marcus stepped forward. His hand shook slightly, but he forced himself to be calm. You think emotions create chaos. Let me show you what they actually create. He activated his own display. Images of Earth appeared. Beautiful, chaotic, alive Earth. He showed them humans creating art that made people cry. Scientists working passionately to cure diseases. Families laughing together. Friends comforting each other through pain. Communities coming together after disasters. Humans feel everything, Marcus said. We feel joy and pain, love and loss, hope and fear. And yes, sometimes we fight. Sometimes we fail. But we also create. We build. We help each other. We live. He showed them more images. Humans exploring space, not for conquest, but for wonder. Humans saving endangered species because they cared about life. Humans making music and art and literature that spoke to the soul. You think controlling emotions makes you strong, Marcus said. But humans learned something different. We learned that feeling everything and still choosing kindness, that is real strength. Feeling fear and still being brave, that is courage. Feeling pain and still helping others, that is compassion. He looked directly at Torith. You tried to kill me because you are afraid. Afraid that change will destroy what you know. But your culture is already dying. Not from emotion. From the lack of it. The amphitheater was silent. Marcus turned to address everyone. I am not here to make you human. I am here to help you remember how to be Zentari who can feel. You had emotions once, before you genetically suppressed them. You can learn to feel again without losing yourselves. But you have to be brave enough to try. Zalvara stepped forward again. Today was to be my coronation. The day I officially become your empress. But I will not accept the crown under the old ways. I will not rule a people who are dying from the inside. She removed the ceremonial band from her hair and held it up. I make you an offer. I will be your empress. But I will be an empress who feels. Who cares? Who leads with both wisdom and passion. I will guide our people back to life, not just survival. And if you cannot accept that, Zalvara said firmly, then I refuse the throne. You can find another ruler, one who will watch you fade into nothing with perfect control. The silence was absolute. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. Then something unexpected happened. Velrin, the young scientist, stood up. I support Princess Zalvara. Another young Zentari stood. Then another. Then dozens. Then hundreds. They were mostly young, those who had grown up seeing their world decline. Those who were desperate for something different. But older Zentari began to stand too. Scientists who missed the passion of discovery. Artists who remembered when creation meant something. Parents who wanted more for their children than slow extinction. Not everyone stood. Toreth and his traditionalists remained seated, their faces hard. But the majority rose. And as they did, something remarkable happened. Some of them were crying. Tears running down blue faces, the first tears many had shed in decades. They were feeling, really feeling, for the first time in their lives. Fear and hope and grief and joy all mixed together. Zalvara looked at Marcus. Her own face was wet with tears, but she was smiling. A real, genuine smile that lit up her whole face. The coronation proceeded, but not as planned. Instead of cold formality, it became something new. Something that had never happened in Zentari history. It became a celebration. Music played, not perfect mathematical notes, but music with emotion. People talked and laughed. Some hugged their neighbors, awkward and uncertain but trying. It was chaotic and messy and imperfect. It was alive. When Zalvara accepted the crown, she did not bow. She stood tall and spoke from her heart. I am your empress, and I promise you this. I will lead us back to life. It will be hard. It will be scary. Some days you will want to go back to the safety of feeling nothing. But I will stand with you. We will remember what it means to truly live. She held out her hand to Marcus. He took it, and together they stood before thousands of Zentari. A human and an empress, hand in hand. A symbol of something new. 1 year later, Marcus stood in the same spot by the palace window. But everything was different now. The city below was no longer silent and empty. Children played in the parks. Street performers entertained crowds. Markets buzzed with conversation and laughter. Colors had been added to the buildings. Artwork displayed in public spaces. It was not perfect. There were still traditionalists who opposed the changes. Some Zentari struggled with emotions after suppressing them for so long. There were setbacks and conflicts. But the population numbers had stabilized. Art and science flourished again. The Zentari were learning to live once more. Zalvara joined him at the window. She wore simpler clothes now, robes that were functional and comfortable rather than ceremonial. Her hand found his naturally, like they had done this 1,000 times. The council approved the expanded human exchange program, she said. 50 more teachers from Earth will arrive next month. That is wonderful, Marcus said. There is more. Zalvara turned to face him. The Korvax Union and 3 other species have requested similar programs. They have seen what happened here. They want to learn too. Marcus felt pride swell in his chest. Humanity teaching the galaxy. Who would have thought? You did. Solvara smiled, the expression easy and natural now. That